Hey, and welcome back to part 2 of the crash course in FWC Kids training, which is kind of giving you an overview of everything you need to know to be the best FWC Kids volunteer that you can be. Today's training, we're going to be talking about our kids check-in system. We're going to be looking at the purpose of our kids check-in system, and then we're also going to walk through how to check in a family that regularly attends, how to check in a new family, how to even check in your own family if you need to do that. Let's start with the purpose of our kids check-in station. The first purpose is really safety. Number one under the safety is that we live in a broken and fallen world. Sin is evident. Satan is alive and active, and because of that, we're seeing broken homes, we're seeing broken families, we're seeing broken people, because that's what we are when we are apart from Christ. We are broken. And research is showing that over the last several years, any violent acts that are occurring in a church setting are happening because of domestic violence spillover. So we want to make sure that we are keeping a tight rein on our kids. We want to make sure that we know who brought them, who's picking them up, who they're going with, and where they are at all times. For example, if you have a family that's in a custody dispute, mom's been coming to church, mom has given her heart to the Lord, but dad has not, and dad is violent and should not be in the picture and should not have the children. We want to make sure that we have that information and that we don't let that child go with them because, oh, I'm sorry, Dad, we don't have the parent tag for you to take them. So that's why when our kids check in, they have a name tag. It matches up with the parent tag. We also have a binder of information that tells us who can come and likely to pick up the children. There are people that come every week, and we do get to know them, and we know who is okay for them to go with and whatnot without having to check. However, if it's a child that doesn't come very often or a child who's new, we're not going to know all of that information, and we want to keep an extremely tight rein on all of our kids to make sure that we're taking the best care that we can. Yes, there are exceptions to the rule as we learn things and we know situations and things of that nature, but we rely heavily on the parent tag and the child's tag to match them up in the checkout process. Under safety, it also is a visual for parents and children to know who's in charge, who is taking care of the child in that moment. So a family comes in, they check their kids in, parents drop the children off at the appropriate classes at the appropriate time. And when they do that, it's a visual to the parent of, I have released my child into the care of trained FWC Kid volunteers. They are going to care for my child at this time. I can go and enjoy the service. Without that process, it can kind of be loosey-goosey, and kids are running around because parents are thinking, oh, well, the kids team will take care of them. And the kids team is thinking, why aren't these crazy parents taking care of their kids? This is a visual of, oh, they have been checked in, so now they're under our responsibility. Mom and dad are obviously still mom and dad, and in case of emergencies, we come and get them. But mom and dad aren't supervising in the gym, if that makes sense. It's also a visual when parents pick up their children at the end. It says to the child, to the worker, and to the parent, responsibility has now been transferred over to the parent or the responsible adult who's picking up the child. The last reason that we do a kids check-in station is because it is the easiest way to capture guest information when they come. So a new family comes in, we get all of their information. Before they've even left the church, the parents get an email thanking them and telling them what a great time their child had in church today. Sometimes that's spoken in faith because we do believe and do want every child to come and have a positive experience at church. But during the week, I follow up with those families, and I send a gift to the child, I send a note to the parents, and if I don't capture that information at the check-in opportunity, then there's no way to follow up with them. So we want to make sure that we do that, because every guest is a gift from the Lord, and we want to treat them as such, and we want to be thankful. And part of following up with them is showing our thankfulness to the Lord for bringing new people into the church. And we want them to get plugged into the life of the church so that they can grow their faith, so that they can learn to serve, because by serving, you're growing in the Lord, you're growing in your faith. We want them to get plugged in and to experience that just like we have. So now let's talk about how we actually do the check-in process. So we have 2 check-in stations. One is located in the lobby. One is located in the hallway in between the stairs to the loft, clubhouse, and the gym, in that area. There may be occasion where you're given the opportunity to assist with check-in. If that is the case, most likely it will be the lobby, and you will come at your appointed time. When you come, you're going to see a screen that looks like this. It's going to say church teams, and you're going to see a little search bar. Families that regularly attend should know the process and how to check in. However, if you see a family coming in and you want to go ahead and check them in and have their name tags all ready to go to kind of help them out and speed up the process, that's an awesome thing to do. Here's how you would do that. You can search by last name, first name, or by mobile phone. I've never actually searched by mobile phone, but that's an option if you so choose. I usually do the last name, and when you do, as you start to type, different choices of people that are already in the system will begin to appear, and you just select the one that you're looking for. For our example today, we've chosen the Updegrove family. Pastor Jeremy is our youth pastor, and Heidi is our worship leader, and they have 3 children that we're going to be talking about checking in today. So we see Tate walking in, we go ahead and pull up the Updegrove family, and you can see their whole family is displayed. We're not going to worry about the boxes next to mom and dad's name on the right where it says check classes attending. We're going to worry about the boxes next to the kid names. Right now, they're white. We don't want them to be white. We want them to have a check mark in them. To put a check mark in the box, I just take the mouse and I click it on the box. This was captured during a time when Sunday school was offered before our morning service. That is no longer an option. But what you would do is you would click the box for the appropriate class that the child is attending. Oftentimes, it may go ahead and show up, for example, if they attended the same service the week before, it might go ahead and, when it pulls up, have a check mark already ready for them. If it doesn't, no big deal. You're just going to click on that box and put the check mark in the appropriate class that you want it to go, and then you're going to hit the print button. When you hit the print button, it's going to print name tags for all 3 children that have been checked in, and then it's going to print parent tags that the parents will need in order to sign them out at the end. The important thing to know about this page is that you have to have that check mark, otherwise it's not going to print. Let's say that one of our Updegrove children bring a cousin or they bring a friend with them, but that friend doesn't have a parent with them, and that friend doesn't know all of their information like mom's cell phone number and mom's email address and all of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to add them to the Updegrove family. If they ever come with mom and dad and start attending on their own with their own family, that's an easy switch and conversion that can be done at a later time. However, for today, we're just going to sign them in as part of the Updegrove family. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to pull up the Updegroves because I see that they need to be checked in. So I'm going to pull them up, and then I see, oh, they have a friend, cousin, somebody with them that also needs to be checked in for the kids' classes. I'm going to hit that Add Family Member button. When I do that, it takes me to a page that looks like this. I can go and see where it says child, and I can add in the name of the child. I can change their last name because if they're not actually related to the Updegroves, they're a friend from school, they're going to have a different last name. And I can fill in the rest of the information as is appropriate. I also need to ask about allergies, and I need to add them to the group. Adding them to the group is very easy. You just need to know the age of the child. Our groups will say nursery 0 to 2, that would be the age of 0 to the age of 2. It will also say FWC Kids 2 to 3, that would be for the ages of 2 to 3. FWC Kids 3 to 5 would be that preschool group prior to kindergarten, and then FWC Kids school age would be anybody in kindergarten through 6th grade. Our 6th graders are kind of a tricky thing. 6th graders can have a choice if they'd like to come to Kids Church. They're welcome to, because Smithville has 6th grade back in the elementary schools, but a lot of our schools have 6th grade in the middle school. So we wanted to give that option of if 6th grade is in the elementary school and they are riding the bus with elementary school students, we didn't necessarily want to throw them in with the high school students. So if you encounter a family with a 6th grader, you'll know that they can have an option if they would like to come to Kids Church or if they would like to check out the youth. They're more than welcome to do either one. Speaking of adding a new family with a 6th grader, let's say you're working the check-in station and a new family who has never used our check-in system before comes in. Here's that original home page. You're going to go to the New Family button. Once you click on New Family, you're going to go back to this screen. Now, this screen should look familiar because remember when we added a friend to the Updegrove family, it looked very much like this. The only difference is for a new family, there's no information that's already filled in. So you'll need to get last name, home phone. Home phone would be a cell phone number. A lot of families don't have a home phone anymore, but a cell phone number would be good. Getting the names of who's brought them and dropped them off would go in the adult section. You can also, if there are differing last names for the family that are checking in due to divorce or whatever the reasons would be, you can also state that when it says last name. So you have one last name for kind of the whole family, but then if you have a child with a different last name than those who brought them, you can differentiate between that. The system requires at least one email address and also a phone number. We don't need to know the mobile carrier. We do need to know if there are any allergies, and then we've already talked about how to add them to the group, so that's also important as well to make sure that that happens. Once you click Save, it then takes you back to the screen where you're ready to print. Remember where we did our check marks? You know how to do your check marks, you know how to print. When it prints, this is an example of the child's tag. You can see this person is made up, and you can see that this person has an allergy to peanuts that's in bold. So if you ever see something bolded on that, that's something to pay attention to. It also has a child code. That code will be matched up with the parent tag. You can also see that the parents' cell phone numbers are both on there, and it also has the class where the child should be located. So in case of emergency, if we needed to get a hold of mom and dad, poor little Jen ate something and she's not feeling so well, or all of a sudden she is throwing up, I don't know, she fell and she's bleeding. We've got mom and dad's cell phone right there. We can call them and let them know we need you to come. Our nursery has a checkout process with a clipboard in the nursery area, but for our preschool and our school age kids, their clipboard is in the gym because all of them get signed out from the gym. So John and Julia Barkley are ready to pick up their child who is in preschool. They're coming to the gym to pick up Jen. We see them, they hand us the parent tag because this is their first time, so we want to make sure that we match them up properly. We take their tag, we match it up with Jen's tag, we take both tags, put them side by side on the clipboard, and we have mom and dad sign and initial the parent tag. If you can get them to put the time, that is the most perfect way to do it. That way if we ever have a question, we can look back and see, but an initial will do, and that would be plenty. If a parent comes and they don't have a parent tag, but they're a regular attender, we have record of them, we know that they pick them up every single week, they just happen to drop the parent tag, that's a situation where we can make an exception to the rule. For example, Heidi drops her parent tag in between worship and getting the kids, and she's lost the parent tag, but we know who Heidi is because she's on staff at the church, so we can let her sign on her kids' tags and call it good. However, we don't want to make that a practice because we want everybody to do the same process. It would be so confusing if we had one process for our guests to sign out and one process for our kids to sign out. But like I said, life does happen and we can make exceptions to the rule, but an exception should be that it should be an exception. If you ever have any sort of question on if a child can go with someone, it is always best to wait and double check and just tell the parent, I need to check on that real quick because we do need the parent tag, let me check. And it would be better to wait and double check that the child is safe than to let them go into a situation that is not safe. So always better to err on the side of caution in this case than to just go, oh sure, and take people at their word. And I hate to say that, but the children we work with are precious. The children we work with are vulnerable to attack from the enemy, and they're vulnerable to attacks from people, and we want to protect them. That's part of our job, is to teach them the gospel in a way they can understand at their age level, but it's also to protect them. So if you ever have any sort of question, you have my full backing to say, I'm going to have to check on that, and you wait right here while I check on that, and have the child wait for a moment before they leave. After you finish this video, send me a quick message to say that you've watched this video and you are ready for video number 3. Also, let me know if you have any questions or if anything was confusing or didn't make sense. Thanks for hanging in there, and look forward to video number 3.